Hello everyone, my name is Dan. Today I'm going to do a short presentation about the poem named If You Forget Me by Pablo Neruda. A little bit short introduction about the author. So Pablo Neruda, he was born on July 12th, 1904 in Chile. He began to compose poem at the age of 10. So Neruda, because he was a communist senator in Chile, so he was exiled from his native land for 13 months after the fall of communism in 1948. And this poem was composed while Neruda was in exile. So many people believe that Neruda wrote this to his lover, the woman who would later become his third wife. However, I prefer to look at this poem at the point of view that it was written not to his lover, but to his homeland, warning the homeland that not to forget him while he is forced away. So the main reason I chose this poem because of my first impression of his name, If You Forget Me, remind me that sometimes I do afraid that people I care about will eventually leave me and forget about me. So another reason I chose this poem because Pablo expresses feeling his love through nature. He chose nature as his language to deliver his feeling to the reader, which give me a little bit of nostalgia about my time in junior high. I've dealt with a lot of poems that express emotion or feeling or thinking, even the whole personal life story through nature. So the poem is written in three verse, and the theme I believe is loss and love. The poet in the poem explained that the consequences of forgetting him by his beloved love, by the line in the poem where we start with "Do not look for me, for I shall have already forgotten you." Finally, the literacy devices, I believe, that's mainly used by Pablo in the poem is imaginary and metaphor. So let's begin the analysis with the two line of the poem. It start with I want you to know one thing. I think the first line is interesting. Include the title and the beginning of the poem. If you combine the title and the first two line, you will have if you forget me, I want you to know one thing. So it's interesting because the title is also including in the poem is not just a title, it's also a part of the poem. So I think that the poet wants to be known or he wants to hold the importance in his word. It also initiates an interested in reader to proceed here with the poem. So the next stanza is you know how this is. If I look at the crystal moon, at the red branch of the slow autumn at my window, if I touch near the fire the impalpable ash or the wrinkled body of the log, everything carries me to you, as if everything that exists, aromas, light, metal, were little balls that sail toward those isles of yours that wait for me. So in the second stanza, The line, if I look at the crystal moon at the end of the red branch of the slow autumn at my window, Pablo used the poetic device that is imaginary, like I stated before, to explain his feeling towards his native country. Phrases like crystal moon, red branch, or slow autumn bring the sense of peaceful and maybe unity to the minds of the reader. But however, the phrase impalpable ash and fire somehow induced the passion in the Pablo heart. A little bit back to the story when the poem was composed. So during the time of the Civil War in Spain, Pablo was sent into exile far from his native country. So this illustrates that his homeland is the only thing that's keeping his mind around, whether he live in peace or in danger abroad. The poet also used several metaphors in the poem to explain and clarify the feeling and the emotion of the author. So in the fifth stanza, the line "You decide to leave me at the shore of my heart where I have roots. Remember that on that day, at that hour, I shall lift my arm and my roots will set off to seek another land." So in this stanza, the words land and roots are example of metaphor. So the line to leave me at the shore of the herd where I have roots illustrate that even though his roots were planted in his homeland, which is Chile, the current situation had destroyed everything, and the poet he has no option left other than uprooting and starting afresh somewhere else. Also, in the stanza 3, the line, "If little by little you stop loving me, I shall stop loving you little by little." This is illustrate his warning that if the land betray him or stop loving him, he will do the same thing. It's also, I believe that also these two lines also emphasize the author pain and the hostility towards him by his homeland. So, in short, the poem shows that the poet does not want unrequited love. The poet believes that love should come from both sides and love should develop mutual understanding and trust in each other. All he wants is true love and understanding. He want that his beloved love should never forget him. If she forget him or his homeland forget him, Pablo also does the same thing. He will leave. However, if she love him without forgetting him, or the homeland will welcome him back, he will give his love to her all his life. Well, I think that's the end of my little analysis on the poem. If you like it, please leave any question that you have in the discussion board on D2L. I would happy to answer. Thank you for listening and have a good semester.